and today I'm going to be telling you about the worst books that I read back in good old 2020. For the most part, I actually really loved most of my reading in 2020. There were only 5 books all year long that I gave 1 star to. And as far as 2 stars, I think there were only like 14 or 15 books that got 2 stars. So most of my reading was 3 stars and above. But of course, those few books that were bad were really, really bad. Because I do not give out 1 star or 2 stars lightly. So let's get into it. Here it comes, the worst of 2020. Unfortunately, the first one that I have to talk about today is The Water Babies. I had read The Water Babies when I was a teenager, I think, when I was first really starting to get into classic children's literature, and I never liked it. The plot is really chaotic. It's very heavy on the moral lessons and the preaching. The characters are not very endearing or even interesting. It's full of such heavy allegory that it's almost like, where did the story go? It's all allegory. It does have some good whimsical parts in it and some imagination, but for the most part, I just didn't enjoy it as a teenager. I didn't enjoy it when I reread it, trying to give it a second chance this past year. It's just not for me. And then the next one is another classic, Madame Bovary. I was so incredibly disappointed in this story. It's just really terrible. The one thing I liked about this book was the writing style. I think it has a strong, powerful writing style, but I hated the actual story. The actual subject material was awful. Madame Bovary cheats on her husband and she hides her adulterous affairs. She has a very deep and complex personality, but I hated her personality. There was just nothing lovable or relatable or in any way likable about her at all. And I have to like someone in the story. There was not one single character that I could say, hey, there's a person that I'm interested in and that I like. And there was no one like that in Madame Bovary. The next one is Ursula Le Guin's The Telling. I kind of have this love-hate relationship with Ursula Le Guin. Sometimes her books are just amazing and they become my favorite, and then sometimes it's like, what was that? The Telling is one of her sci-fi novels where a person is visiting another planet and they're trying to learn about this alien culture and language, and they go out into the country of this alien world so that they can learn more about the kind of this hidden religion that has been forbidden, but some people out in the country, they still practice these religious traditions. So it has a really interesting premise, a really interesting idea, and there were so many things in it, both philosophically and morally, that I disagreed with so much that I actually ended up DNFing it about halfway through. I just did not like the direction that it was going, and they kept bringing up these moral ideas and these philosophical meanderings that I was just like, no, what? No, that is not okay. It was just not, it was not for me. No. The next 3 are Christian devotional books that I hated. Wow. I didn't quite realize how many of supposedly Christian writings out there have nothing to do with what the Bible actually teaches. There are so many heretical, just off the wall, like, where did you even get that? Did you just imagine that into Christianity? So yeah, there were 3 that I read this past year that was just like, wow, this person has gone off the deep end. Anyone who's actually studied the Bible knows that what you're saying is not true. So I don't know how these people could possibly get published, and they're full of lies. So there were some very, very strange teachings in this one that I was just like, have you ever actually read the Bible? I guess not. And I say all of this because I went to a Bible college. I majored in music and I minored in Bible. I've done a lot of Bible study, believe me. My dad is a pastor. He has a degree from a Bible college. He has spent his entire life studying the Bible. I say all of this because this is stuff that I know about, you guys. My mom also has a degree from a Bible college. And I showed her these books and she agreed with me and said that they were absolutely horrible. So this is not just like me, even just saying my opinion. Like this is established fact at this point, okay? This is something I know a lot about. This is something my family knows a lot about, that we've spent our entire lives studying. And these books are just awful. Okay, continuing on. The next one I really hated was Down the Rabbit Hole. So this is an Echo Falls mystery, and again, a lot of what I didn't like about it was the chaotic story structure. None of the characters were particularly likable, and then there were some morally gray areas that were going on, and I was just like, I really don't feel comfortable with that. The main character was hiding some things from her parents, and I was just like, oh, honey, you're going to get in trouble. It was just really bad. And it was serious stuff, like it was firearms and like breaking the law and stuff. And so, I mean, it wasn't just like normal kid stuff that you hide from your parents. It was like, this is really serious. So yeah, I ended up DNFing that one about a third of the way through, I think, because it was just, no, I hated everything that was happening in that book. The next one is a graphic novel retelling of like an old myth called The Daughters of Ice, or I'm not sure how to say that title, but it's that. I really loved the myth and the kind of ancient feeling to it, and the magic and like this beautifully imagined old ancient world. It was just really, really beautifully done. The storytelling was great. The characters were so just engaging, like, oh, I wanted to know, what are they doing, So many things in the book were just geared towards like, yes, this is such a cool book. But then there was a lot of violence. There was a lot of immoral behavior, and it just got a little too dark for my taste. It was a little too much graphic violence and like blood and guts and nasty. And I'm like, wow, if you're gonna have the blood and guts, I don't need that in a graphic novel. So it seemed like it was going so well. It was just the sort of thing that I like. And then it took it a little too far past that line of comfortableness that I have with violence or immorality and stuff. And so then I was just like, you know what, I did end up reading the entire thing because I kept thinking maybe it'll get better, but it never did. It actually just got worse. So, oh well, not for me. I think other people, if you don't have a thing like I do with violence and stuff, then you would probably enjoy it, but it was not for me. Then I have a couple of picture books that I thought were horrendous. The first one was Paris Cat, which is about a cat in Paris who's trying to make her way in the world, and she ends up dancing on stage with an exotic dancer. And the exotic dancer did not have clothes on. In a children's book, there's nudity in this children's book. Who thought that was okay? What publisher said, oh, I know what's a good idea? Let's put nudity in a children's picture book and teach them about exotic dancing. I mean, what? I am so confused about this. This is the most horrible thing I think I've ever seen. Anyway, that was terrible. The other one didn't necessarily have anything particularly wrong with it. It's a House of Happy Spirits, and it's about, let's see, I gotta get this right. And it's about this architect, Friedensreich Hundertwasser. Wow, that was terrible. Anyway, it's this famous architect who is an actual historic figure, and he's known for these really whimsical, wild, and colorful buildings. So the whole book was about these children who meet him, and they end up moving into one of his buildings, I think. The thing is, the whole book was so chaotic, I couldn't tell what was happening. So many of the things in this book were just really confusing. The narration, the text, the illustrations, I still can't figure out what actually happened in that book. We may never know. So it was just badly written, basically. It was just so whimsical and so chaotic that I couldn't even make head or tail of it. It was like being in a strange dream where you can't figure out what's going on. It was very dreamy. If you like that sort of dreamy, insane kind of style, then sure, you might enjoy it. But I like things to make sense and be concrete and follow some kind of logic. So it was not for me. And those are the 10 worst books that I read in 2020. I mean, out of the hundreds of books that I read, these 10 were the worst. I think I actually had a pretty good reading year. Not too bad. I took a chance on some of these and was disappointed, but that's all right. I'm reading outside my comfort zone and trying new things, and sometimes that doesn't work. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know what are some of the worst books you read in the worst year of history. And of course, tell me why you didn't enjoy them. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.